down with OTC? Are you down with OTC? OTC. Are you down with OTC? Are you down with OTC? OTC. Are you down with OTC? Down with OTC. Down with OTC.
Down with OTC.
Who's down with OTC? I'm down with OTC. Man, it is awesome to be back here again. It's been so long, and it's great to see you, Chip.
24 hours, Jeff. Let's not go crazy.
24 hours. Hey, I wanted to start this out. I want to give a quick shout out to all the blockchain backers that are out there, and a big shout out to BCB himself. You guys are great, and welcome to On the Chain.
Yeah, thank you. And also, I mean, Blockchain Backer put out an incredible tweet, which I think Jeff and I were both humbled, like, wow. Because I saw Blockchain Backer in our stream yesterday. I wanted to say hi to him because I was like pretty excited. I was trying to say hi, but kind of got away. And then he did a shout out in the video today. I was like, whoa! So that was really cool. So thank you guys. Yeah, he's been phenomenal, and I appreciate all the new subs. By the way, because of Blockchain Backer, because of John Deaton, because of you guys, we just crossed the 10,000 threshold for the channel, which is pretty cool.
It's
considering we had 5,000 back at 5,200 back at the beginning of December.
Yeah, that's
so
pretty
it's pretty
awesome.
Outstanding. So Jeff, what do you lay out the groundwork we're going to talk about? We'll get through the intro, and then we'll jump in.
That sounds great. So we got a ton of things. Really, the theme of tonight is SEC versus Ripple. If you can regulate the payments, you can regulate the money, you're going to control the world. There's a lot at stake right now, and it's really interesting. As we get into this, one thing that we're starting to see, Chip, is that the government is attempting to pick winners and losers once again. And we're seeing a big focus, at least a little outspoken focus, with a little bit of a push towards the Bitcoin and a little bit of, let's push it to the side with the XRP. And, that just isn't going to stand. And it's amazing, Chip, because tonight, I was thinking we should talk more about Jay Clayton, maybe his fight for the preservation of the government control. But really, I started giving this some thought, Chip, and you brought up this whole idea or this tweet that went out with the OCC, and there's a big, big game-changing news that we're going to go over there with the OCC. But I wanted to start out with a bill that Tom Emmer actually introduced back in September that had to do with exactly what we're going through right now, which is declaring a digital asset as security, how to kind of navigate that space a little bit. And he presented something in September, which might have, pretty much squashed what we're going through. And so I wanted to start on that. Then we'll dive into the good news. But we might have to do a little bit of a sidetrack through a bill that Darren Soto introduced a couple days ago.
Very good one too.
What do you think of that, Chip? Is that is that enough to keep everyone's attention for a little bit?
I think that takes us to the first 3.5 hours. Beyond that, I don't know. Anything's game. Just kidding. We're not going to go that long. That's it. Let's kick it off.
You ready? Let's do it.
Do it.
Welcome to On the Chain with Jeff and Chip.
Hey, we're back again.
We are back. So, I wanted to say, first of all, we always like to shout out number one, Wen Mullet. He's the consummate. He's kind of like I don't know what I call him, the bodyguard. He checks people at the door, makes sure everything's cool, everyone's staying doing their thing in the chat. We have Miss Connie, who is the one who is making sure everyone's doing their thing when it comes to liking, subscribing. Because, Jeff, I always say this, it's crazy. We look at our stats, and 60% of the people that watch our channel, they're not subscribed. So that's why we throw that out there a lot. So I want to welcome everybody here. And we got some cool news to cover. I think what we'll do is, we'd like to workshop it, mini workshop it. Want to throw some of your comments up there. Again, you guys help create the show. We're kind of moderating it, and you guys are throwing stuff in. And we're always blown away by some of the things we get from you from the chat. So take it away, Jeff.
Yeah, I want to say Zubair Rahman over here. He wanted to say good morning to us. So good morning to you. 7 a.m. in the part of the world that he's in. So I'm glad that you're starting the day with On the Chain. That's pretty awesome. How do you like that? Start your day with On the Chain.
It doesn't really rhyme, but I like it. I mean, it's start your day. We gotta start your day with. I don't know. We gotta work on that a little bit. I don't think it's it's funny. I'm looking.
It hasn't finessed yet.
This doesn't have the finesse yet, really. Well, this is interesting. This Shabib Hamdan says, "Hey, have you guys checked out this new podcast called Global Lead? Former Ripple employee and a former Fed secretary, Greg Kidd. They talk about Ripple. It was released today. Very informative. Also great work yesterday, fam. Appreciate that, Shahab. Appreciate that. Why don't you tweet that to us? I can maybe, I'll save it. But
check it out.
Yeah, tweet that to On the Chain. I'll drop the link in there. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. I'm gonna pull this up, man. So HR 8378. We don't want to get into the details of the numbers because we'll probably forget about the numbers once we get done with this. But here we go. So Van Life Biker, why weren't you subscribed before? And you've been here before. So, all right. So I'm going to pull this up, man. This is great because this was introduced in September. And so September 24th, Tom Emmer. Now, I guess to take a step back, you guys know the name Darren Soto. You guys should know the name Warren Davidson. You may or may not know the name Tom Emmer, but Darren Soto and Warren Davidson are the architects of the Token Taxonomy Act. The Token Taxonomy Act was going to change a lot of the security acts from back in 1933 and 1934 and some of the IRS code from 1986, because yes, we still operate under some of the laws that haven't been addended since the beginning of time. But their idea was to change it up a little bit and make it more applicable to blockchain, make blockchain a little accepted. So they're the architects. Tom Emmer has also introduced bills into Congress. And so as we go through this, we're talking about, here you have the SEC that's going after Ripple. There's discussion over what's a security, what's not a security. And then you don't have to go that far back. And there was this great bill that was introduced. And there's really some important parts, to this whole thing. And we can kind of dig into it a little bit. We're not going to read it, word for word, but there you can see, the Securities Act of 1933. But here, he said, among the ways that participants in the digital asset industry have raised capital and earned revenue is through arrangements in which investors provide funds for the development of blockchain-based protocols in exchange for digital assets or the future delivery of digital assets to be used in those protocols. So basically what they're talking about is you're building in the space, you're releasing the digital asset. They're either rolling out right away to investors that are providing money that's helped develop that technology, or those digital assets are going to come later on after they're already developed. So if you start thinking about this, Chip, this kind of has a little reminiscence to maybe some of the claims they're trying to make about Ripple right now, and they've tried to make about other digital assets in the space and blockchain companies.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny the way legislation goes. It's like it could have stopped a whole bunch of things from happening. It's like when I get the time machine built, I think I got a couple plans. I mean, obviously I'll go back and buy Bitcoin, or I'll say, hey, you throwing that hard drive out? Yeah, it's got some useless coin in it. What's it called? Bitcoin. I'll be like, okay, let me throw it in my backpack here. And that might be one of the things, but I think legislation, you got to get like a solid lobby group, get it put through, and then right now we're like sitting pretty. We're like, we're lighting cigars with $100 bills because fiat's worthless. We don't care anymore.
I like those $100 bills. That's always cool. And so here, Chip, then he goes into the Howey test. Now, if you guys were on last night, you heard a bit about the Howey test. If you've been on our show at all over the past time, we've talked about the Howey test. He brings it up again because the Howey test becomes very, very important in this whole conversation as we start moving towards a security. And it's interesting here because he starts talking about an investment contract. So here it says, although the distinction between an investment contract, which is a security, and the assets sold pursuant to it had been well settled for purposes of Section 2A of the Securities Act, the two have been unnecessarily conflated in the context of digital assets. So this is important. What's real critical, here you go in 5 here. 5 is where this changes, Chip. I want to get your feedback on this one. This is great. So this new approach, which conflates an investment contract and the assets sold pursuant to that contract or scheme, differs from the approach taken in many other jurisdictions around the world, has discouraged the development of the digital asset sector in the United States, and has hindered innovation in that industry here without providing, what does that say? Concomitant benefits to those who enter into investment contracts for the purpose of acquiring digital assets. So there's a lot of legalese in this, but it says something very, very specific. What are your thoughts on that, Chip?
Well, I mean, first off, the first thing when I look at that and I hear that, it's like the very important point in there is the fact that they talk about the discouraging of fintechs, right? Fintech, new technology. We always kind of compare this with what would have happened when the internet was getting going. What if they over-regulated it? What if the SEC, what if some regulatory body came in starting to try to close up shop and then it moved someplace else? And then you don't have the internet boom that you had in the US, and you don't have Google emerging and all these other cool companies that came out of this 90s sort of boom with the internet. They chose not to regulate it. And here they've just been sitting on their hands. So I see this and it's kind of like a missed opportunity, because what would have happened had this gone through and been passed? None of this others, we wouldn't even be talking about it. We'd be talking about other things right now, but that is a missed opportunity for sure.
Man, it's huge. And that's exactly what it is. And he's right here in this bill they're presenting is saying, hey, the way things are looked at right now, if you look at an investment contract, and they're trying to really break this down as it pertains to this blockchain space, is you're going to destroy this space, and you're chasing companies out of the US to elsewhere, especially when in other countries they don't look at it the same way. So you're putting us at a disadvantage. And then B in this section, the purpose of this act is to clarify and codify that an asset sold pursuant to an investment contract, whether tangible or intangible, including an asset in digital form that is not otherwise a security under the act, does not become a security as a result of being sold or otherwise transferred pursuant to an investment contract.
Oh,
So, I mean, there's so much that's being said in these paragraphs, Chip.
well, especially when the thing is, when let me just back up a little bit here. The complaint that the SEC filed against Ripple, I mean, one of the major things about that is they talk about this investment contract, and that's like, as the Howey test, you bought, and they're alleging that when you bought XRP, you thought you were potentially purchasing some part of a share of something of Ripple. And that's like the funniest thing. Like I talked to somebody today who's pretty new to the space and I said, hey, by the way, let me ask you a question. When you bought XRP, did you think you were buying Ripple? And I don't even know what Ripple is. It's like they didn't know what Ripple was. They bought it on an exchange and they heard it was something good to buy. They go, what's Ripple? So, the fact that it's decentralized, that's one of the reasons that I think a lot of the things in that complaint are kind of off base. But when we look at this, and we think about, again, another missed opportunity, because Congress at the time was busy running around doing a bunch of, I don't even know what they were doing. They were chasing tails and doing stuff. I mean, nothing that was really productive. And the whole idea of we the people, John Deaton opened up that tweet when he went out there and he explained exactly why he filed the complaint against the SEC. He started it off as we the people. We're supposed to be represented. And on the SEC side, look, the SEC's mission statement is to represent the investor, the little guy. They're supposed to be looking out for us in the United States, right? But I'm sure that wherever you are situated, you have some regulatory body that's supposed to be looking out for you. And it sounds like great. On paper, you're like, wow, that looks amazing. They really care about me. But then in reality, they don't care at all. It's like, oh, how much money can I push in my pockets, and how many bitcoins can they throw on a cold storage wallet? But when I see stuff like this, it's kind of like you go cringe, because none of this stuff would be going down right now.
No, it would be over. So there's obviously, Chip, there's something else going on behind the scenes. There's definitely a battle being waged. We know what SWIFT is. We know that SWIFT is backed by the banks. We know that it's been around for 76 years. That's called 80 years, for these purposes. Yeah, it's been around a long time. They've entrenched themselves on a global scale. These banks, there's like 10,000 banks that are part of SWIFT. They don't want to give up that control mechanism. I mean, if you were in that spot, would you want to step back and say, oh no, hey, that's okay, we'll just give it up? You're going to fight back with everything that you got.
You're always going to fight back. I mean, you look at the day. I mean, even in business, right? Blockbuster was the last to know that they were going to be going under. Like, they really thought, we're going to open our digital service. They had a chance to buy Netflix. This is 20 years ago. We act like this was 100 years ago, 20 years ago. They had the chance to buy Netflix and buy them out. The same way Apple could have met with Elon Musk. He said in a tweet last week that he turned down a big meeting, and they could have acquired him on the cheap, right? So, yeah, it's amazing to me when we're sitting in this predicament. But I think people are misunderstanding this whole complaint when we get in the SEC and we start looking at legislation like this, which is absolutely brilliant. It really has a really good flow, and it may not have all the pieces worked out, but man, it's better than going back to 1933 and 1934. But the part I think we're so tribal that we miss the big picture. Look, if you're not a Bitcoin maxi, or if you just like Bitcoin, let's just put that aside for a second. This isn't about Ripple. This is about everything. And don't think Ethereum's not part of that, because they are. Because I got to tell you that you'll be able to prove in court if Ripple, if they go to Ripple and they find them and they find Garlinghouse and Larson, and if they say that XRP is a security, the alt market's got big problems. We got big problems, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's a lot bigger than just this one thing. So that's why I think people, hey, you want to read that on the screen there, Jeff? I think this is an interesting comment.
Oh, on the comment? Yeah, and then I wanted to get over to that, but let me see the comment. So Mayhem Media, I saw that there. Why is everybody on top of the SEC for bringing the price of XRP down? Ripple made the legal trouble public. Should we not be blaming Ripple? I think that's kind of an interesting twist on it, because can you blame both parties for announcing it? It was going to come out regardless. This case was, meant to happen. It's just a matter of how it happened. We knew that there's been this unknown variable as to whether or not XRP is a security or not. It hadn't been settled. We've heard Jay Clayton over and over again, dance around the topic. And actually, XRP Bags put together a nice video that I was watching earlier, and he pulled out a clip where Jay Clayton was being interviewed, and I don't remember what channel he's on, but he was again asked whether or not it was a security, and I saw him get super nervous. So it couldn't have been from that long ago, and he keeps putting it looked like he's putting his hand in his pocket, and he's fidgeting, and he couldn't sit still, and he's trying to answer it, and he's dancing around this subject. So obviously he knew what was happening. They've been working on this case for probably the better part of a year, I would have to believe. This isn't something brand new that all of a sudden the SEC has decided to bring this case. I think it's how they did it, how they orchestrated it, why now, why was it right before he left, what else is going on in the space, and this is where, when we look at, there's definitely something else going on behind the scenes, because when you have bill after bill after bill, if we go back, and I wanted to do that, but I thought, hey, no one's going to want to tune in as we sit there and analyze every blockchain bill that's been introduced over the past 2 years. But you can kind of lead up to the path, because if you go back to when Darren Soto and Warren Davidson introduced the Token Taxonomy Act, it was everything, right? They loaded it up. We're going to change this, and we're going to change that, and we're going to do this, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be beneficial, and we're going to be the leaders in the space. Basically, that was the idea. And then it just never got traction. It hit the Financial Services Committee, which incidentally, where this bill ended up, which is why it's just going to sit there and probably not gain any more traction with Maxine Waters, Bitcoin. But the one thing that we're seeing here is that as they start breaking down the bills, Chip, you can start seeing that they start adding little elements, right? So if we would have gone back and looked at all of Tom Emmer's bills or all of Darren Soto's bills, you can kind of see them moving in a specific direction.
No, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. One thing I wanted to add to that, just kind of piggyback off what you said. Here's the thing. For example, I'm on LexisNexis every day. That's where you can access the court docket. I set up alerts. So I have an alert for Ripple Labs, and anytime something's filed, what would have happened is, first of all, the public docket where all court cases are assembled, you basically have to pay for it. It's a really silly thing because it is public. But if you either use Pacer or something like LexisNexis to actually access the docket, so you look at the docket, and that's every time anything's filed in a particular case, and I have alerts set now, so anything that goes off. Now here's the other side of thinking about that. Suppose Ripple doesn't say anything about it, and all of a sudden it gets leaked out to the news media, and they come after Ripple. You always want to be on the offensive when something like that happens. The reason they let this go 2 days before is because they were trying to settle with Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. They attempted to settle. Garlinghouse said no, they weren't going to settle. Forget about it. And we don't know the deal that were offered. Who knows what they said? Maybe you do, 40 years in a gulag, and you'll get soup for dinner every night. Nobody knows what the deal was. But the point of it is that even if it was a decent deal and they settled, it wouldn't have changed anything for Ripple unless they came out and said that XRP is not a security. You have to create some sort of a precedent where you go like, okay, this was worth something, because look what happened with the Kick and the Kin token. Who knows? I mean, it's like, oh yeah, now we're going to regulate it. And that was Jay Clayton's thing. We're going to regulate it if it's a security. Problem is that Ripple settles, and there's been some disagreement in the community, Jeff, about whether or not Ripple would settle this thing, and what conditions would they settle? Do they want to sign on the dotted line? What's going to happen? And I don't really know, but I just don't see it going 2 years. I just don't see it. You can't take down an industry like this and hold it hostage for 2 years. Something's got to break.
And I think you're right. The Kick suit took a little over a year, but in this situation, you're putting Ripple in a position where they have a perception of an upper hand, or at least on even ground. Either you have the upper hand or you're on even ground right now. If they were to react if they settled right away, the SEC would have the upper hand, and then the settlement's not going to look too good. At least now, no, we're not going to settle. At least wait until Ripple releases their statement, which they will do in a few weeks. I think that's going to be very important. And it really then it gets back to, why are we even here in this position? Why did the Financial Services Committee, not have a further discussion of any of these bills that have been presented. They've been presenting these bills over and over and over again. And look at this one. I mean, you go to the top. I didn't read this. This would have been a good place to start. To amend the securities laws to exclude investment contract assets from the definition of a security. And when we get into that investment contract asset, it's exactly what we're trying to explain, where you have these companies, they build up, they develop their asset and they release it.
Yeah,
And
the token,
then
right.
they build on it. Hey, James Rule is putting out the OCC news release. We're actually going to be reviewing that because that's James Rule. That's like a critical point. And we're going to go over that. We're kind of building up the momentum. It's kind of like, the crescendo. We're kind of building up to it, and we're going to get to the OCC. I think these are like really important kind of points and topics to review here. In that whole case, though, Chip, the next bill that was actually just introduced came from Darren Soto. His bill is sitting in the Energy and Commerce Committee.
And Jeff, what state is Darren Soto out of?
He happens to be in Florida, which is awesome, right up there in Orlando,
which is our state, right? So we're going to take credit for Darren Soto. We like Darren a lot, and it's like he's kind of right up the highway a little bit, 5-6 hours, something like that. And you're only like in the halfway part of the state, but one of the things I said, I put a video out on the other channel. By the way, guys, if you don't know, Jeff and I post short form videos. Yeah, I know these can drag on a little bit, but I put a 5-minute video, which is really remarkable for me because I can talk and so can Jeff. But
how did you do it?
I had to cut a lot of stuff out of it, Jeff. It's the only way to do it. But I put a 5-minute video. If you click on the link there below, or if somebody wants to drop the other channel in there, you can sub over there. But I mean, the basic assertion there is that, what do you got pulled up there?
No, go ahead, keep talking.
I lost my train of thought. There was a bright light in it. It was like, somebody else said, I think it was when Mullet said his epilepsy was going today. I was like, I think it might have been the flashes of light and some other little fun things going on there. But I don't know what I was saying, Jeff. It's like you distracted me. I got totally taken off of. There you go. Do it again. Yeah.
There you go. Now do you remember? No.
I can't say that I do. I can't say that I remember. But but I don't think any of this legislation is going to get passed. I saw somebody else who's.
It just sits there. It just sits there, Chip.
It just sits there, but they keep like kind of retooling it and reflavoring it and maybe passing around. Because there was one that I saw there was one recently, and I don't know if it was the one in September, but it had so much support, so much from the Democrats, so much from the Republicans, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can almost feel the love.
Yeah, and then
it died a miserable death. It was like DOA,
That's right.
They had Bobby Rush.
A lot of them, Bobby Rush they get there and they're gone.
Yeah, Bobby Rush out of Chicago. I was like, Bobby Rush is into this? He's like, he's mid-70s. I'm like, all right, that's fine. We'll take it. But no, it didn't go anywhere. It didn't.
So check this. This one, Darren Soto just introduced it on the 31st. So talk about coming. But here, he wants to, and this, again, think about, there's really no such thing as coincidences, right? You have a lot of actions that are reactionary to one another that are all building up to a specific moment, right? And so in this scenario, you have, again, here we have Tom Emmer introducing his bill, and Tom Emmer's bill was a takeoff of Darren Soto and Warren Davidson's bill, which was the Token Taxonomy Act. So the Token Taxonomy Act, think of that as like the granddaddy of all bills that were presented, and now you have all the offspring that have been making their way throughout Congress in hopes that something gets applied. And this one from Darren Soto is another offspring, which makes now one of these are gonna stick, and this one might have a chance of sticking because they did get somewhere. They had actually passed the Senate to create like a discovery kind of discussion group. Didn't do anything except for discuss, but this one, HR 9067, is to establish an office within the Department of Commerce to coordinate all non-defense related deployment and activities related to blockchain technology within the federal government. So he's basically saying here, and this is when it's been referred to the House Committee on Energy and Commerce, create this office, and this office will now be responsible for and coordinating all these different blockchain techs and activities that are non-defense related. And the reason why they say non-defense related is primarily because they're using blockchain in the defense arena in some way, shape, or form, and that will never get to the Commerce Committee. Will be referred to wherever it goes.
Yeah, and you know where it
Yeah,
goes? Right in the toilet. It's like
that's right.
it's. I was thinking about this last night when we had John Deaton on, man. What an amazing man who would looking out for the entire XRP community. But I was thinking about this, like they always have these fines, like oh you're gonna be fined, like for example, Kick, you're fined $5 million. Where does that money end up? And that's why I like what Deaton's setting up with this whole idea of setting up this trust, right? A special trust in case there are any kind of fines, put it in a trust and then distribute it to like somewhat of a class action, distribute it to the community. So that's kind of a good way to sort of look at it, which I mean somebody who's looking out for it. I mean, man, we went an hour and 45 minutes, and I really felt like we were talking for 30. So
It was quick.
it went by quick. It was really good. We got a lot of love from the community off that. And again, I appreciate you guys. I mean, it was really great of John to come in here, but thank you. I mean, a lot of outpouring of love and tweets today, so I want to thank everybody for that as well.
And I was out of studio. I was at my standing desk, and I had to stand throughout the whole thing too.
That was weird, Jeff. It didn't seem right. It felt like we were like
No.
it felt like there was like something was broken. Like when you take that cart like in a shop somewhere and you're pushing it, and you get halfway in the store, and all of a sudden it goes. You lose the wheel, and then you're like, "What? Oh, I'm not gonna go back there." So you end up with through the whole store, and it sticks or it slides. That's what it felt like for me last night. I felt like it was like just a little flying without it. What is Pedro saying?
Hey, check out what Pedro's saying. It's interesting, right? What did PayPal and Gemini Exchange know to not list the third largest crypto in the market? Plus, as many have commented over the past few streams and in this one, the SEC runs a node on the XRP blockchain without asking Ripple for permission. I don't know if that's the case or not. I don't know if they did or didn't ask the permission, but I have heard that they were running or still running a node on the one of the XRP nodes.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I mean, last night John Deaton talked about that. He basically asserted that what it could have been. Again, it's a theory, nobody knows. But the fact that the CEO from PayPal was talking to the regulators, was talking to the SEC about basically offering Bitcoin and Ethereum, but they don't offer the third largest. So what did they know? Were they tipped off that this was coming, that this was in the pipeline? Were they like, hey, by the way, no XRP, no XRP? So I don't know. It's an interesting theory because it does seem awful odd. It's like, first, second, and then no, we're not going to do the third. Especially, one of the things I found out today, and James XRP Rule, might have been you that tweeted this, but it was about iKingdom Trust. What is it called? No, I Trust Capital. I think it was you. If you put that out there, if you drop that in there, but I saw something about that said their number one asset, and these are people who are investing. In usually a retirement type of account, right? It's you can have it's like a 401k. Yeah, I sink the ship and I trust XRP or die. Right, so that's what I said. I made the mistake of saying in one of my videos or my tweets, I said it's my ride or die, and bam, did I get throat punch for that. I was like, I got throat punch, and people think I'm on the payroll of Ripple. It's like, listen, people, kids, I have an opinion. I read the stuff. I go through it. We did a deep dive the entire week. We did a teardown of the complaint. I read through that thing 2, 3, 4 times. I looked at and researched a bunch of stuff, and I was like, that translates to on the payroll at Ripple. I'm like, what? Be nice, but no. It's just my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor. Jeff, you're not a financial advisor, are you?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, and so it's like we're just this is pure entertainment. What we're talking about here, it's pure entertainment. It's two guys' opinions. Usually Jeff and I are on the same page. Once in a great while we disagree, but most of the time we're pretty much lockstep. Every once in a while we might have an occasional type of thing. What's up, Lady E? How are you? I want to welcome Wen Mullet to the stage, and then we got Randall Reese. Oh, that Reese. Okay, there you go. Randall Reese. Yikes. And then we have Channing Smithson in here who says, dropping that financial advice. No, man, Channing is my financial advisor. That's what I'm saying right there. He's my financial advisor.
This is interesting. Stephen Coleman. About, what was it? Was it like a year and a half ago? I made a video specifically on this subject. I promise, after we go through a few of these, we're going to get over to the OCC thing, because the OCC news is huge. It's massive news as you go through it, I think. So here, Steven said, I just found out about the 20 XRP minimum on new wallets, meaning they lock up 20 XRP when you open up a new wallet. Does it still exist? Short answer, yes. And then he goes on and says, because one day, if this truly hits $1,000 price target, it will truly be unobtainable to the new retail investor. And it's funny because basically the title of the video that I'd made was that XRP won't be affordable or something like that. People won't be, I forget what the title was. But anyhow, you don't even have to go that far because at the end of 17, beginning of 2018, XRP hit $3. And that meant that when it was 28 cents, you know, it was whatever that comes out to be. But when it hit that $3 mark, opening up a wallet tied up $60. So it cost you $60 to open up that new wallet. At $1, it was $20, and it did hit that number, and it went beyond that number. So, you know, it becomes very costly. And now the thing is, it can be adjusted and changed, so it can be voted on. That's how they adjust some of the rules and laws within the ledger there, and so they can vote on changing that lockup amount. It can go up, it can come down. But it has to be agreed on by the validators. They vote on it. They make the adjustment. The idea was that you're locking it up in order to keep out the
spammers. I mean, garbage. Yeah, garbage. I mean,
so
you could just open 1,000 wallets. You know, so you're not going to open them up if there's a value to it. You're not going to let that stuff just sit there. And at the time, remember, before this latest amendment came out, it used to be that that 20 XRP was just there, right? And so there wasn't a way to remove it. You could actually now remove it and it burns 5 XRP. So you end up with 15 XRP. And a lot of people, because if you look at that one chart that has all the wallets, kind of like who owns what of the retail side, you know, you just see all these wallets that have 20 XRP in them. There's a ton of them just sitting there with XRP. They only have 20 in it. There's a ton of them. And then it goes up. And then as it gets to the top, it's like 1 and 2 that own millions of XRP, right? And you can kind of see whose wallets those might be. So
yeah, no, I think the 20 XRP is still relevant, still valid, and is still there. People are questioning whether or not it's changed yet. But I
thank you, Lady E says, let's learn together, support each other, share, like, subscribe, choose that bell. That's important to get that bell hit. If you miss that, you're not going to get any content. So you won't miss amazing content. Huddle Strong in 2021, sealed with a kiss, a rose, a thumbs up. It's got everything in there, Jeff. It's the perfect thing to display.
It's nice. Oh yeah, perfect, sweet.
It's a perfect thing. So do you want to kind of, let's jump into this. So I saw this tweet by Jeremy Allaire. Forgive me if so many people send us stuff. Probably should know this. I think this is one of my chats, but I wanted to go over here and take a look at this because I thought he broke this down really nicely. There we go. So Jeremy Allaire put that up. There we go. So Jeremy Allaire put the tweet out. He said, hey, breaking news from the U.S. Treasury, the OCC, the largest U.S. bank regulator, and that is none other than the OCC, which is the Office of the Comptroller, Brian Brooks. He said, with new guidance allowing U.S. banks to use public blockchains, well, I can't say that, public blockchains and dollar stable coins as a settlement infrastructure in the U.S. financial system. Wowza. And we'll jump into the actual the press release. We'll go on there, and he says this is a huge win for crypto and stable coins. The new
USDC.
interpretive. What's that?
USDC.
Well, that's the whole idea of the stable coin. Now, what's really weird is now we heard Tether. Now Tether, I thought they had a court date in January, but I think Tether's what's going on there is, do they have? Because that's supposed to be, isn't Tether supposed to be backed by the U.S. dollar, supposedly, or gold or something? I know they have a Tether gold, and
Tether is supposed to be backed by, I think initially it was dollars, and then it was just assets.
Right. Now nobody.
Value.
And the point is, there's just like in the U.S., there's more digital something than there is the actual whatever backs it up. So he's saying that the new interpretive letter establishes that banks can treat public chains as infrastructure similar to SWIFT. ACH, the FedWire, stablecoins like USDC as electronic stored value. The significance of this cannot be understated. And it is huge because it's kind of funny that this is happening parallel, Jeff, to the the complaint against, from the SEC against Ripple, right? So on one side, you've got banks being able to custody crypto. You have banks now that can now participate. They've just been given the green flag. Now, normally, if you're at Ripple, you'd be like running around screaming, jumping up and down on the furniture, cracking open the champagne. But they're probably not doing that these days because this is what banks were waiting for in the U.S., right? They were scared to pull that trigger.
Yeah, and this has been building also. Think about some of the other regulation that's been building towards the banking space. But this says it all.
Yeah, and he goes on to say, well, I'm not going to agree with everything because he's really pushing the USDC, but he says, but again, he's making a point. The decentralized, permissionless, open source, and internet mediated software is literally becoming the foundation for not just the U.S. financial system, but the global economy. He's right spot on there, right? And he's saying that we're on a path towards all major economic activity being executed on chain. And this is fantastic, especially when you're on the chain like we are. We love stuff like that. But it's tremendous to see such forward-thinking support from the largest regulator of national banks in the United States. And I have to tell you, when I saw this, I was a little bit on the shock side because it wasn't something that I would have expected to see so soon. But of course, nobody expected banks to be able to give them the green light to custody crypto. Now, my bank still doesn't custody crypto, so I don't know when that's going to happen. But it's really it is
on the chain again.
Yeah, that's the best part I liked right there. So he's like, we're moving towards a path of all economic activity being executed on chain, right?
On the chain.
And on the chain. That's what he says. Put a "the" in there, Jeff. He says this paves the way for the use of the leading digital currency. I have a tough time saying dollar digital currencies, such as the USDC as a main.
He's referring to the digital currencies that are stablecoin pegged to, based on whatever. Yeah, you get it.
I mean, more or less, and that's why he's coming up with the USDC as a mainstream payment medium for all forms of payments and settlement. Helps put the U.S. in a leadership position, kinda, maybe, depending on if you're yes and no, right?
So it's based on the dollar, yes.
Right, kind of, as long as it's based around the dollar, but doesn't really help every situation.
There's a new one coming out with the yen.
Yeah,
I think the first of its kind is that was announced recently. But
embracing the power of public blockchains beyond payments and settlement, and unlike legacy settlement mediums, public chains combine transactions and compute, enabling radically new modes of financial and commerce as to be built. Do you know anything about that, Jeff?
Not too much, but no, that everything is leading up to something here too. I mean, it's unbelievable. Is his thought process as he's breaking this down. Start with the OCC news, then it keeps kind of building, and it's interesting because again he's talking about solutions similar to Ripple, and XRP, even though he's referring to the stable coin, the USDC, and it's also interesting. And again, when you see, there's all this conflict and tension and all these things going on, a lot of misinformation, it's like, look over here while we do this over here, and they throw out bits of news and it becomes really disorienting, and it's all over the world because, we can stay very, focused, put those blinders on and just watch mainstream media and let them feed us the garbage they want to feed us, or we can look around and try to, get a good understanding of what's happening all over the world. And it's interesting that this is happening right now. Jeremy Allaire is also referencing what the OCC is talking about. And last week or 2 weeks ago, we saw the head of the governor of one of the central bank in Russia talking about the fact that digital currencies may replace SWIFT. That's a nice way of saying will replace SWIFT. At SWIFT,
right,
you had your opportunity, you failed, you could have rolled out new technology. Your new technology sucks. There's better technology, and it's going to be revolutionary. And that's what Jeremy was saying also. Forget about SWIFT. It's done. There's all these other groups out there. Hence, number 9.
Yeah, I want to put this up, Jeff. James XRP rule XRP. I always say XRP rule because I like that better. But James rule XRP. XRP is not a security. I told you so. Boom. That's his trademark right there, Jeff. The sunglass is cool with the punch. I just hope it's not a throat punch. But you know what, James, I'm squarely in your corner. Thank you very much for the $20 bill.
Right,
yeah, bright in the face. And so Jeremy Allaire, if you guys remember, and this was in the go check out XRP Bag's video. He puts together these clips in such a way that it tells the story. You know, there's no words, just these clips, and then there's one of them in there, and her name, I forget her name at the moment. She's from Ripple, but she talks about Jeremy Allaire going before Congress when he was testifying, saying that he's moving Circle to Bermuda because there's no regulatory clarity, and they're like daydreaming, going like,
on the sand dollar.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, I wonder how I can make. How do I make more money? How do I get several $1 million deposited in my account? And meanwhile, he's going like, no, our company's leaving. We're leaving. We're leaving. And so that was also very good. He says sets the stage for more regular.
Number 8?
What do you mean?
There's no number 8.
That doesn't matter. He missed it, Jeff. He's
kidding. Hey, before you continue, I got to throw this up because it's just it caught my attention as I was streaming through. Harry Balzac.
I can't believe you fell for it, Jeff.
You gotta say the name first, man. It's freaking awesome.
It's Harry Balzac.
Balzac.
I can't believe you fell for that, Jeff. I mean, that's like the oldest trick in the book. I can't believe that. We're censored now. Thanks, buddy. Ripple was a mistake. He got him.
That's right. You got it. This is one of the best XRP channels. I found you yesterday and listened to you guys for like 3 hours today. Very optimistic. Thank you.
Oh,
that's awesome. Man. You gotta love those compliments.
Well, did you subscribe to our other channel? Because it's in there. It's down there. Yeah, I put together one of my kind of an offbeat video, kind of like when I started doing these things. I used to do these really off, kind of twisted things. I don't know. I don't know. I said it to Jeff, and he's like, I don't know, post it. He was like all that thrilled about it, but I was like, yeah, post it. It's 5 minutes, and that's tough to do. Jeremy O'Leary says it sets the stage for more regulated financial institutions to run blockchain nodes and even become validators. Oh, what have we heard that word validators before? And we heard recently there was like a little bit of back and forth with Mr. Schwartz the other day. Wait a minute, it disappeared me. The other day, yeah, it's hard to find. There's so many controls here. Where he was talking about he was disappointed with the idea they called it validators, and then Matt Hamilton said, well, it should have been called sequencers. And then I chimed in. I said, you know, I love sequencers, and I put up a picture of like 1980s sequencers. It's just like, dude, it went over like a fart in church, Jeff. It didn't go very far. No one got it. Never. I think they wanted to delete that tweet. But anyway, this is a huge way to start 2021. I couldn't agree more. The year that crypto and stable coins go to mass market, and of course, our pal, you know him, you love him, Dictator Know-It-All, says, don't get too excited. The SEC will declare those as securities.
What a dude.
I love that. I laughed at that because, you know, yeah, it's funny stuff. That is some funny
hilarious
stuff. And
I want to give another shout out to all the blockchain backer supporters that are bouncing in here. One after one, I keep seeing them bouncing. And right from the beginning, there were some BCV backers, supporters in here right from the beginning, as we had like 30 minutes to go before start time, and they're chatting away, and it's awesome to see everybody popping in here. Appreciate you guys.
Not so much we like you.
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
Thank you, blockchain backers. We got to put that up periodically. I can even flash it on there, Jeff. Look at that.
Nice. Oh, there you go. Sweet.
It's kind of nice,
That's
right?
Pretty cool, man. Yeah.
It's something.
Very.
You know what?
Very cool.
You know, the one thing about XRP is I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's magic. So there you go. There you are. So I wanted to jump over to the, let me hit the right control here.
There we go.
So this is actually, James, thank you. This is the actual press release that they put out, the presser as they call them in the biz. Federally chartered banks and thrifts may, holy cow, I'm sorry, I have to do a regular view on this because my Zoom is too big. Participate in the independent node verification networks and use stable coins for payment activities. And this says this, blah, 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 blah. Cool news, blah, 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 blah. Real-time payments.
Say thank you to Apex Crypto over here. Well deserved. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man. And this is while governments and other countries have built real-time payment systems. See, this is kind of funny, like, right? This is coming from a government agency, and they're kind of like taking the you-know-what out of themselves. They're having a little fun with it, while in other governments and other countries, like for Europe, for example, have had this technology for 70 years. No, a long time, right? The United States has relied on our innovation sector to deliver real-time payments and technologies. Interesting. And who did the SEC just try to take out? the $10 billion, 800-pound, 50-pound gorilla in the room called Ripple. Some of those technologies that are built and managed by bank consortia, and some are built on independent node verification networks. Now, I don't know, outside of the JP Morgan coin, which was recently acquired, I don't know anything built in the bank. I mean, the bank consortia. I mean, what are we talking about here, Jeff? I mean, come on, they don't build much. They mostly acquire stuff. Some are based on independent node verification networks, such as blockchains, that acting comptroller, I should, of the currency, Brian P. Brooks. And Brian, I didn't know his middle name was P, but Brian P. Brooks is really crypto's best friend. Thank God that he spent, everyone likes to dog and they like to go after Coinbase, like Coinbase, you know, blah, blah. But listen, Brian P. Brooks was the chief legal counsel. He honed his, teeth there. He's like, he got everything going. Thank God he spent some time there, a couple years there, because when they tapped him to go sit down at the comptroller, coach put him in, and boom, he started producing right away. He started coming out with regulations, and I think they're holding him back. Remember, he said we get clear regulations around cryptocurrency 4 to 6 weeks. I don't even think I'm not even sure if he's done yet. There's got to be something more. What are your thoughts, Jeff? Is there more things in the works here, or is this just part of it?
No, I think there's so much more going on behind the scenes. I think, part politics, part, global relations, between, just everything. There's so much, I mean, I like that right there. The financial markets. I think it should say the global financial markets. Just based on everything. But from your point, talking about the real-time payment technologies, it's crazy that the whole world has already had those real-time payment technologies for so long. Why are we slipping so far behind? Again, here I am. I'm waiting for settlement. It drives me crazy. Waiting on settlement of something that went through last week, hasn't settled yet. Finally settles at like 5 o'clock today and hadn't cleared the financial, the software. I'm like, but the purchase was like a week ago. Why am I still waiting on this? Why is it not settling? Why in this day and age, why do things have to take that long? I mean, the money, you already know the money's there, but I'm waiting on that final settlement. And it's just crazy.
Well, I think what most people don't realize in the United States, I think they do really on the high level, but the whole idea of SWIFT, being founded here in the U.S. in 1974 amongst all the banks, is the amount of control that you've got some conflict, right? And who was it, Jeff? Somebody said and we talked about this a little bit last night, said I think it might have been Brian Brooks that said there's too many kind of cooks in the kitchen. There's too many government agencies trying to regulate every aspect of banking and all this stuff. He was kind of like criticizing it. And when we're thinking about in the U.S., the bigger problem is when you have a reserve currency and you have the kind of control with SWIFT, you don't want to give it up. Jeff talked about this earlier. You don't want to give that up. So you have part of the government that's like, hell no, this is our ride or die. We're gonna go down with the ship. We're never gonna give it up, because if there's a bad actor out there, some state, doing bad stuff like Iran or something. I'm not trying to single them out. It's just anybody. You can cut them off. You can cut off all their assets, any ability to transact or do any business, and you cut them off. That's the kind of control you have. So there's kind of an internal struggle going on here in these agencies. They say like, well, no, we want to control this. And now you're starting to see, you have the OCC, the comptroller. You have the SEC over here. You've got the Department of Justice saying, no, it's not, XRP is not a security. You have FinCEN, who has fined Ripple, saying, okay, here's the line, don't cross it, and let's audit your books every year. Okay, we'll make sure we're doing the right thing. So I think it's gotten too out of hand with all the regulations. But the one thing go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you brought up a really solid point with all these agencies, and if you think about it, within government, government in its entirety has been built to be relatively inefficient, for multiple reasons. One of the primary reasons of inefficiencies within government is so things don't happen too quickly on purpose. Again, so those things that would not be good don't happen quickly. So, and you want everything to be thought out over a period of time. So here you have, like you said, different agencies. They view things differently. They have a different opinion set. They want to roll this out, changing the way we transact, whether, through, let's say it becomes Bitcoin based or XRP based or whatever, as long as it's not centralized and in the control of somebody else. But in this scenario, as they're rolling it out, they're looking at cross-border payments, remittance payments. So you brought up some really key points. All these different, oversight committees within government or entities, and then you have SWIFT, which is the messaging platform that's been around for 80 years. And the key to all of that is that there's oversight over SWIFT. So if there's a bad actor, like you brought up, I think that like hits the nail on the head. If there's a bad actor, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, Syria, whatever that bad actor country, as agreed on by the world bodies, to say, hey, there's an issue here, and they vote and they say, okay, sanctions placed, shut down their access to SWIFT. Now you guys can no longer trade unless we allow you to trade. That's a lot of control, over the actors. Now, if you have an entity like Ripple coming to the stage, rolling out this RippleNet platform, and the government still doesn't have a mechanism of oversight within it, even though there's regulation and AMLs and all these other things that go on, but maybe they haven't baked it in quite yet. They don't have that control mechanism. So you have some of the agencies that say, yeah, move forward with XRP. Then all of a sudden the SEC puts the brakes on, puts everything to a complete stop. So now the government has to go in and actually tear it down and try to figure out, hey, what's going on here, while they're putting in and plugging in their control mechanism. I don't know if that's going to happen just like that, but if you start thinking about it from different perspectives, a lot of our go-to thought process, hey, what's going on with the investment? And like you said earlier, a lot of people bought XRP. They don't even know what's going on with all this other stuff. It's just one of the top 10 assets that seems to be doing well. They bought XRP. They don't know Ripple from anything. What the heck is Ripple? What are they doing? And so that's why people bought it.
The press doesn't even know it. Nobody has any idea. And it's like, it's kind of weird. It's like, the same way we've seen Congress make missteps as far as when they haul in Facebook and they're like, what's the Facebook all about? Like, they ask such idiotic questions. I just slide down on my chair like, I'm really not proud to be an American right now. I really, it's like, you go like, what is wrong with you people? Like my grandmother knows how to use it. I mean, what the hell? I mean, it's built for old people. I mean, how do you not know this? And, when they haul in somebody and they go like, how do we do this? And nobody knows. But meanwhile, they don't even know. I kind of feel like the SEC might be part of that sort of a mindset where they know just enough about digital assets to be dangerous, and they're all looking through law books and they're like getting excited about something, and they're missing the point, and they're making stuff. Oh, thank you, Lady E. Go ahead and take that, Jeff.
So, Lady, appreciate that. Thank you for
Lady.
the friendship, support, and love that you guys giving me in bags. Also, thank you, Chip and Jeff, for all you guys do for the community. Happy New Year 2021, which is going to be amazing. 2021 is going to be an awesome year.
Well, it choked me up, that comment. I like that lady. Lady is very genuine. That's what I love about her. She's genuine. She comes from the heart. It's because she's a Reiki teacher. That's why. She understands, like, spiritual realm, and has a good understanding of that, and that's loud and clear. But no, I mean, listen, you guys make the community work. I mean, I'm always blown away by the amount of just the thought leaders in this community, but the talent, the sheer talent. This is what really makes this community come together. It makes it a fun, super cool place, man. I'm happy to be part of it. Jeff, that's all I got to say. Go ahead, take Kurt's question. Bob, doesn't Kurt look like a badass? Look at that picture right there. He's like, did you say something about my hat?
Yeah.
He's like,
go ahead.
Go ahead, say it again. And I'll be like, no, it's cool, Kurt, everything's good, man. But he's got like that badass look to him.
Go ahead, jump on that one.
He said, hey, I found this on Cointelegraph. Any insight into this? XRP holders ask court to stop the SEC from calling their holdings securities. Yeah, I got some last night. If you go to the previous stream, there was a complaint filed by an attorney named John Deaton. He's out of Rhode Island, and he is asking for two basic things, and I'll cover those in a second. But yeah, your timing is spot on. We had him on last night. We thought we were going to have him on for an hour. We went an hour and 45 minutes. But if you look at the thumbnail, it's the one with John Deaton in the center. We kind of go through that, and if you go to our Twitter stream, which I'll see if I can find, yeah, I could probably find it somewhere here. So it's on my Twitter stream. But what I'll do is I'll drop that in there, and you can go to our Twitter stream. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put the tweet right in there for you. But you can download two things. You can download the memorandum, which is like the facts part of it, and you can also download the entire complaint itself. And there was another super chat in there, Jeff. I don't want to miss that. We had another super chat. Here we go. Irving Sylvia, thank you very much for that super sticker. We super appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Nice.
You know, you can ask you can put something on there too if you want, just like ask a question or just look at that. You see that?
Cool picture.
It's a cool picture, man. How come we don't have cool pictures, Jeff? These people, I mean, we don't have any cool pictures. You don't even have your picture on your Twitter, by the way. Just saying.
Who?
So thank you for that, Irving Sylvia. You don't. I don't believe you
Me?
do. Yeah.
I don't know if I do.
Well, I'm just saying.
I don't know. No.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull this puppet. While you're doing that, let me go ahead and pull this up somewhere along the lines. But you can just
Here we go.
Sir
John here. Here we go.
By the way,
OCC.
hey, before you do that, I want to just say, look, Sir John, my heart goes out. Our heart goes out to you, man. Two of these giant earthquakes back to back, and I've seen some of the wreckage. It's horrible, and we're praying for you, brother, and your family to stay safe. And I know it's like, you know, you got that you're just waiting for the next tremor thing to come through, man. But I just want to say that shout out to you, man, and just stay sane. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. So Sir John, all our thoughts go out to what you guys are going through over there. He says here, OCC said banks can conduct payments using stable coins as they are fast and cheap to send. They could mess Ripple's plans. It has to be taken as a warning of possible XRP investment risk.
I don't necessarily. Well, I'm not 100% sure. You know, you talk about sending stable coins. You still need the infrastructure to be able to do that. I think my takeaway from what we just looked at, as far as, and again, I haven't read the letter yet. I mean, it was pretty new today. I was kind of busy and running around, but all I had read was Jeremy Allaire's thing. Jeff and I read that. We read the presser. I haven't actually read the letter, but my takeaway is they don't have the technology now to do it, right? They still don't have the tech. You know, you can send real payments over in Europe now, but the big thing is cross-border remittances when you're sending it from, you know, a bank located, you know, maybe in the U.S. over to the Philippines, you know, or someone from the Philippines wants to send. So that's what we're really talking about. The faster payments network, they still don't think they're going to have that together and I think it's 4 more years, 2024. I mean, I get where you're going with that, but I'll have to read a little bit more into that. I'm not 100% convinced that has anything to do with really faster payments, because they do talk about in there, they do leverage that, Jeff. They actually said in there that there's other, you know, you have a bank consortiums that are working on this one part, but you had the fintech side. They're talking about private companies. We talk about private companies. We know 2 potentials that own that space, one of them being Ripple, the other one being Stellar. And there's probably, I mean, you could go with potentially HBAR. I don't think there's much on the radar, but I think, you know, and there's maybe some outliers there, but the third largest cryptocurrency, I don't know, Jeff, what are your thoughts on that from just, you know, the initial read through? Do you think that faster payments is going to happen? They're talking 2024 for the faster payment system, and every year they keep delaying it. So I don't necessarily believe it's
that's
happening.
the point. Yeah, they've been pushing that off for you know, for a long time, and it's, you know, I think there's more to it. You know, I really do, and you know, I think there was also this misunderstanding, or you know, maybe I don't want to say ignorance to what was happening within this blockchain space with the digital assets. I think maybe they were trying to buy their time and not allow what's happening right now to happen. You know, it's so hard to say because, you know, we've heard some conversation in this space talking about, you know, the Black Swan events and the global financial resets and the crashing of economies and all this stuff. All of a sudden, the global economies are melting down as they came to a standstill, and all these different elements are coming into play. All of a sudden, blockchain is the talk of the town. Yeah, I don't know what it does to the faster payment network and all that. It's kind of crazy. Just a quick shout out to John Gill. Appreciate that support. Looks like you're also new to the channel. I haven't seen you in the comments before. But due to your coverage of relevant topics, you should have 50,000 subs.
Oh,
Yeah,
John,
and
thank
I
you for that.
appreciate that. That's awesome. And we try to keep it real. We try to analyze things to the best of our ability. I think we both have unique backgrounds that we've been around a while. So in
Are you trying to say
different
we're old,
parts of the
Jeff? Sounds like
business
you're trying to
world.
say we're old. That's
Not
just,
me, not me. Just
okay,
you.
okay, good. Just checking, just checking. So I wanted to put, yeah, thank you, John. That's really nice, man. I really appreciate that. Good stuff, man. I want to throw this up. There we go. So this is the tweet. This actually happened last night, but this was Deaton versus the SEC. This is that last question where you're asking. You heard something about that. This is the stream which you can watch. Now I'm going to throw this down here. If you guys want to look at the Twitter feed here, I'll pop it in there. You can go take a look at that. Now the very first document right here, John had recommended that you read the memorandum of support. This is this is taken from the complaint. This is part of the complaint. But what he did was I took it and broke it out because he said, hey, read the memorandum of support. If you download that, you don't have to dig for it. It's right there. The other part of it is the full complaint is here in a PDF format, and this has the entire complaint and the two things, and I probably can pull that up in a second. Let me just give me a second here. But the two things that is being sought after here for the XRP community is, first of all, the request in there is for the SEC to amend the complaint against Ripple to basically protect XRP investors by calling XRP not a security, right? That's the first part. The second part has to do with setting up a constructive trust. This constructive trust would basically be in the event, it would be run by a third party, not John, not Jeff or myself, but it's run by a third party. That way, if there's any potential class action where there's a fine, any kind of a fine or any sort of a judgment, disgorgement, whatever, would end up in this constructive trust, and then that could then be distributed to the community. So those are the two things that they're really looking for. But it is a phenomenal read. I read a lot of court documents anyway in my normal travels, but this one is really well crafted. John gave a big shout out to a bunch of people out there like Crypto Eddie and Brad Kimes and DA, a lot of people. He said, look, I put it together, but I got a lot of the data from you guys because of what you guys do, and you brought a lot of this to my attention. But it's very well crafted, the argument.
Yeah, he did. I was really impressed, to tell you the truth, because it's so hard to tell, but when you read through the presentation or the case or the complaint, whatever the right terminology is, the complaint. Yeah. I mean, obviously, he put, a lot of thought into it, but it had to be done in a very short period of time, which is interesting. And he spent, pulling that together, and it hit so many critical points. And if you guys haven't seen our video from last night, definitely go and watch that video. Like I said, I think it was an hour 45. There were some really, really important points. Somebody brought up earlier in the conversation today about PayPal not adding the third largest digital asset, which is XRP. Is it possible that they knew something or didn't know something? Actually, that exact topic, was brought up last night as well, during the conversation. And I think we're going to be sharing that little segment on the other channel. If we get to that,
Yeah, just because you could find it real easy. So I wanted to put this up there because this is one of the things that, like, as soon as we started reading through this, like, it popped out. He filed it at 1:30 a.m. This is like an hour and a half into 2021. So it just popped up the next day. And one of the very cool things, the way he opens it, is talks about the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. Their basic mission statement is to protect investors, promote fairness, and share information about companies to help investors make informed decisions and invest with confidence. As chairman of the SEC, it was Jay Clayton's fiduciary duty to enforce this SEC mission statement. Instead of protecting investors and sharing information to help investors make informed decisions, the respondent knowingly and intentionally caused multi-billion-dollar losses to innocent investors who have purchased, exchanged, received, and or acquired the digital asset XRP, including the named petitioners and all others similarly situated. That is you. If you have XRP, similarly situated is you. He filed us on behalf of the community. Yes, the petitioners are here right up at the top, but this is who you are right here. Any others similarly situated. And what I love about that opening statement is that sometimes we forget with the SEC. It's like, oh, the Securities and Exchange Commission and the regulation, right in their mission statement, their fiduciary responsibility is to the investor. One of the reasons they regulate companies. Now, I don't blame Coinbase, and I think, Jeff, you said the same thing. I don't blame Coinbase for, kind of hands off the whole XRP thing, because they're going public right now. They have an initial public offering, meaning the company is going to go from private to public to be listed on a stock exchange, right? Once they're doing that, now who regulates that, Jeff?
It might be that three-letter organization, the SEC.
It might be the SEC. So I don't blame them. It's like, look, and I might not blame some others, but one of the standouts that I just absolutely think is just outstanding is JP Thero, who is the CEO and co-founder of Uphold. He beat his chest and said there's only two reasons that we would delist XRP. The first one being that if it was deemed a security, great, because guess what? It hasn't been deemed a security. And the second one was if the trading volume dropped to such a low level that it doesn't make sense for an exchange, like, it's kind of like if you sell a product in a store and everybody stops buying it, you don't sell the product in the store anymore, right? So I have to commend him. And I think there's been some misinformation out there. People are like, oh my God, in the U.S., what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We have no place. You do have a place called Uphold.
That's right. Yeah, Uphold is still there. You can still buy on Coinbase.
Kraken is U.S. based, right?
Kraken, you can still buy there. You can still buy on Coinbase. You just have to go to Coinbase Pro and buy limit orders, which is okay too. I mean, it's not a big deal. But I just want to give a quick shout out to all of the blockchain backers in here, because I keep seeing people bounce in again. They're coming on and just shouting out that blockchain backers sent them over here. So really appreciate that. And for those of you that haven't subbed yet, I would highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button, because when you do, then obviously you can get a notification that we're releasing a new video or a live stream. And if you hit the little notification, that'll actually notify you when that happens. And I know that, I subscribe to a lot of channels. I didn't hit the notification and wonder why I keep missing videos. And that's, one of the reasons. So definitely make sure you do that. And there's some interesting comments here. I had it picked out and then I lost it. Somebody brought up here that maybe, here we go. I found it here, and he's actually real Fibonacci is actually tuning in here from Twitter or Periscope. But he said
Twitter,
Jake Clayton might be a good guy after all. He had to take the heat or the hate to start this domino effect. So maybe he knew what he was doing, maybe not. Either way, can we turn lemonade out of the lemons that he's presented? And I think that's what we're going through. I mean, there's still so much that has to happen. I think at the end of the day, with all of this, everything that we're looking at, the one thing that we needed was regulatory clarity. And it's interesting that that Ripple is one of the I don't want to say the only organization, but one of the few that have actively been pursuing regulatory clarity in Washington. Not just talking about it, but they actually have an office that's there to lobby and educate. They were very, very active during that period of time with the Token Taxonomy Act. And in fact, they actually hired out of Warren Davidson's office, Representative Warren Davidson out of Ohio, one of his key legislative assistants that was instrumental in writing the Token Taxonomy Act was hired by Ripple to stay in Washington and educate other congressional representatives and their staff on the digital asset space and everything else. Obviously, as working for Ripple is going to really lobby in Ripple's favor to gain that regulatory clarity. And I think that we knew this initiative had to happen, Chip. But the way it was orchestrated, I think, time is going to tell here over the next weeks as we get into this, when we talk about it. whether or not the way they did it by just going that, shock and awe, or should they have done it a little bit more passionately? Tech Hunter is saying that the SEC is going to set XRP back by 5 years. Not sure. I think we still need to wait until we see a response from Ripple on this.
Yeah, exactly. And guys, I want to throw a link in there. This is a link to the other channel. Check out that video. That's the latest one I dropped. It looks crazy like this. It's like one of these crazy sort of videos that I do. But you can check that one out. And again, sub to the channel because we throw short form stuff. Sometimes you don't want to sit through like a 17-hour live stream, like we do here. And you go like, hey man, so it's more short, digestible content where Jeff will put something up and I'll put something up independently, and we usually kind of offset that. Like a lot of the other creators, like James Ripple XRP, he's another YouTuber. I suggest you guys go follow him. He puts out great content, usually about 1 to 2 videos a day, from what I can tell. So it's good stuff. So everyone's saying, how long is it going to take, right?
That's right. How long? And I just thought this was interesting, but Jackie put this up here. What does the SEC do with all the money from their fines? I think they go on vacation.
I don't know, Jeff. It's like nobody knows. It goes in like this magical fine jar. That's why John Deaton's trying to set up a fund, a constructive fund, that if there are any fines, instead of throwing it down some useless hole or wherever, like you're saying, Jackie, where does that go? Nobody knows. Wherever that ends up, he wants to create a trust so that. Because part of the issue is that he talks about how many billions were eroded from the market. And if the SEC was really honoring their fiduciary to protecting investors, I'm going to go with 100% they failed on that department. So that's going to come before a judge as well. Moto Yoda.
So
One XRP moons.
He'll meet us where?
And Liechtenstein. By the way, Jeff was there. Jeff, we got to put up that video. That video is outstanding, isn't it?
That was a cool video. Yeah, I watched it again recently. I wish I would have got some more B-roll with some, different angle, shots, but I thought it was pretty cool.
No, that's a very cool one. I got to go see if I can find that. But that's on the other channel too. But Jeff went to Liechtenstein and he did this Liechtenstein. So he did the whole thing where he's driving in, shows him driving, getting in there, boom, the scene. It's a fun video. Some music in the background, Jeff narrating. I think it's one of the more fun, travel type videos we've done. Goes up to, what's the castle called, Jeff? Castle
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein? No. I was like, wait a minute, that's like a video game, right? Wolfenstein.
Right, I forget the name of the palace, the Prince's Palace. It's up on the hill.
Palace, that's right.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's right.
Yeah, the town was really awesome. It was pretty cool. Tiny,
right? Little, it's just bank after bank after bank, right? It's financial epicenter.
Check that out, man. We've been in here for like an hour 15. I think I wanted to throw this up here real quick, but Giuseppe, hit the thumbs up for BC Backer, amazing OCC news, and Ukraine to launch. This is a good point here. Ukraine to launch CBDC based on XLM. How about that? That's a huge step. Many countries will follow, and maybe the U.S. will do the same one day. But their CBDC is built on the Stellar
network, yeah.
Stellar network.
Stellar Foundation. They're using that blockchain. The blockchain is a little bit more flexible in some ways, but that has been going on for some time, though. That's not something that's been, I think that's been in the works for a little bit. But yeah, it is awesome because, and it's funny how Stellar, Jed had basically left Ripple because he wanted to move away from institutional, get more into retail. And then he kind of came right back again too. But you go where the opportunities are. I don't fault him at all. I mean, you go wherever you find an opportunity, that's it, man. You're gonna be there. I'm trying to find your Liechtenstein video, Jeff.
And if you looked at Simon Bickerton just invited us to come and hang out in Australia, and he said the first few rounds are on him. So
you know what? I can drink the first few rounds, so I like the way that sounds right there. Liechtenstein on the chain. Let me see if that works.
Yep.
Holy
and
cow!
So in the meantime, I just want to let everybody know, we stream, often. Well, we're getting into this mode, and we're going to be covering a lot of topics. This SEC versus Ripple topic is really important. We have to look at it from a lot of different angles, a lot of different perspectives. We're going to see more response on this case specifically as Ripple gets to, we see their response. At the same time, we're also going to be following Deaton's case, Deaton versus the SEC. We're going to follow that. he agreed to come back on to talk to us again. As we see some response and changes, we'll see if the judge in that case, when it's presented, believes that it has standing and it can go to the next level. Looking forward to that and looking forward to the different ideas. Oh, look at that! Check me out. How cool is that? Look
So
at
it's
that.
just like it's a fun
Driving
little
up in the
video.
cloud.
Meanwhile, he's driving and shooting this, which is fun, right? So there you go. Boom, driving to Liechtenstein. When moon.
Look at that.
So there's some fun
Liechtenstein
music in the
there. That was pretty
background.
sweet. That was the Liechtenstein Museum. There you go. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Then he goes into the there's that. Now look at that shot right there. Beautiful shot right there, man.
Yeah, that's the vehicle I'm gonna get the next time I go.
And you hiked up there, right? You hiked up there.
Yeah. You had to hike up there. Yeah, there you go. The town. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna drop that right now. Bam.
All right, sweet. There you go.
Just dropped it in the chat. So that's a fun one to watch. We talked about. He gives a big shout out to DAI because he used to always talk about the whole Liechtenstein. So it's very cool.
Yeah.
But guys, screw Liechtenstein. When moon, I'm going to Florida to hang with Chip and Jeff. Yeah. F the Minnesota. Yeah. Well, listen, man. I grew up in Niagara Falls, Buffalo, New York. So man, I did my time. I got out, man. I didn't think I'd break out, but
you know what's always? I lived upstate too. How funny is that, dude?
Well, here's what's really funny.
I was up in Syracuse. Sorry.
He lived up in Syracuse. I was over in Niagara Falls, Buffalo area, right? I end up in Detroit. I leave Detroit. Jeff ends up in Detroit. Then we both end up living 40. Wow, we really have a storied past together. Then we found each other because of that token taxonomy bill, because we made that video for Congress. That's how we got.
That's right. That's how it all started.
Token taxonomy is what brought this channel together, people.
This channel together. That's right. Had it not been for the Token Taxonomy Act.
It didn't do jack for cryptocurrency and crypto assets, but it did a lot for this channel, so that's always good.
Unfortunately, the Token Taxonomy Act didn't get passed, but
right on. Yeah, well. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming in here, showing up. Did we see Berserker today or no? I didn't see him out in the chat. Yeah, I didn't see him in the chat. Dude, Detroit, get out of town fast. So I just want to say to everybody, when moon off to South America for me, boys. That's where my wife's from. So there you go. I love Chile, and now they just instituted some weird rules about what you need to get there to visit. I'm like,
see that we're getting the travel bug. Everyone's got the travel bug. So
that's all I wanted to do, Jeff. I'm like, when it moons, I don't need anything more items. I have everything I want. All I wanted to do is travel and live experiences.
Oh, you put that up there. I didn't even know. That's interesting. Nice.
All right, meet up in Boca when moon. That's where I live. So
nice. Yeah.
Are you in Shab? Are you in Boca? We'll hope we get together. But listen, guys, first time here, please like, subscribe. If you're a blockchain backer, man, what an awesome thing! I saw the tweet last night.
Hey, my dad's on. Hey, how
Papa
cool is
Huddle's
that?
here. Papa Huddle.
Cool is that?
That's awesome. Papa Huddle, what's up? So, and I was listening to the video today, and all of a sudden here on the channel, I was like, whoa! I was like, wow, man. So, blockchain backer, man, thank you very much, man. Much appreciated. All of you coming in here from Blockchain Backer, much appreciate you. Come be part of this community as well. That's all I have, Jeff. Do you have anything before we get out of here?
Yeah, I just want to double down on that and say, really appreciate all you guys that are here. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, definitely hit the sub button, hit the bell notifier to make sure you actually get notified. But, a big shout out also to BCB, Blockchain Backer, for giving us a shout out. Definitely appreciate that one. And that's all I've got, but I believe we'll be back on tomorrow night with some more great stuff, so look forward to that.
It's all stuff happening on the chain. There's all
stuff
on-chain stuff
happening right here on the chain.
See you in the next one.
Let's get out of here.
Chip and Jeff out.
Where is it?
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.